do is we're going to focus on some pentatonic positions that maybe not, not used all that often, like 3, or maybe a position that is used a lot, like position 4, but maybe some different kinds of ways to use it, bending in different spots, doing different stuff to kind of spice it up, break us out of the rut. I'm totally guilty of playing the same old riffs a million times. So what I'll do is I'll sit down and I'll tweak, find out where I like bends, but bend that same note in a different spot, and it opens up a whole bunch of new riffs. So down below, there's going to be a link that'll get you to a page, kind of an introductory page. You get a free ebook. I know it goes over some scales and some chords and all that stuff. So if you don't know the scales, like the pentatonic scales and stuff like that, check out the ebook. A lot of times that stuff is in there. All right, so let's zoom in for a closer look. All right, so right off the bat, that's position 3 in A minor pentatonic, right? We got Now, a lot of people might know that as it's got a really cool, riffs like that, right? Where we do that big step and a half bend and that cool bend on the B string. But what's cool is if you bend this note on the G string 12th fret, it's the same note as this note that we like to bend to in first position, right? We're bending up to that A note, and if you're in A minor or A major, right, that's a great note. So what we're going to do is do a little kind of a picking pattern. So what I do is I go down the scale, or up the scale, and I go 9 and 12 on the G, and then I go 10 and 13 on the B. So we got, and then I'm going to go back up to the G. So I go, right? I go all the way down to the E and just follow the scale position. And then I come back to the B13. So we got, and then back to G, back to B13, and then I go 10 and 10. And then I'll come and I'll add that bend. So we got, so we can bend up 13, go back to 10, 12 on the G, 13, 12 on the G, 10 on the B, and then bend up. All right. Right, so we're not just stuck in the same old, bending, or maybe you don't know this riff. If you don't know this riff, it's a really cool riff. We're going to bend the E note, and we're going to go all the way up to a G. So you do a step and a half bend. Right, so what we can do is bend that up a step and a half, so it's a whole step plus a half step, and then we're going to go down chromatically, and then I go, or either way, right, you can do that. And go back to that one bend. What I did when I got to the B string is I bent it up a step and then 2 steps. And then right, and then you can crawl back down. Right, so what I did there is I go 12 and 12. And this is on the A and the D. And I'm going to go 10 to 11. Slide back up to the A. Right, so we can do our... Right, so it's a little bit different of a way to use position 3. Position 3 is a really, really great position. So definitely, mess around with that. You don't always have to use the straight A minor, right? I use, right, I'll bend 11 1/2 step. If I want to make it sound a little more rock and roll, a little more major. And then what I'll do from there, right, back there. So what I do is I'll use 12, 11, 10, right? Same thing as going, right, hammering onto that major third. So you can walk down chromatically on 12, 11, 10, 8, and then slide back up to the A note, 12th fret. Right, so we got... Right, so it's this mixing of the major and minor like we keep talking about, but there's just an infinite amount of riffs. So what I'm going to try to do is just break down a bunch of different riff ideas that we can, pick from, or different ways to approach, maybe in a little bit more unorthodox way than you're used to, bending on different notes that you might not have thought of bending. And then from that, you can, expand upon, your own ideas or your own, whatever comes up, in your mind, playing it like, oh, okay, I can go here or go here. We're just constantly evolving this mixing of the major and minor, bending, tweaking just a little bit each time so we can get a little bit more and more, riffs in our bag of tricks, right? So let's go over some position 4 riffs. All right, so what we're going to do is the same kind of thing we did in the last one. We're going to approach it the same way, right? We're going to start off. So we're going 12 to 14, 13 to 15. So we got, right? We go back to 14 on the G. Then we go back to 13 and 15 on the B. So we got. Then we're going to go down to 12 and 15 on the E. And then we're going to go to 15 on the B. So we got. And then back to 12. Then we're going to go to 13 on the B. And bend up 15 on the B. So we can go. So I'm going to bend up 15 with a little quarter note bend on 13. Right? We're going to go to 14 on the G, 15 on the B. And then I'm going to go back like I'm going up an A chord. So that's G, D, 14. And then I'm going to bend that G note into an A. So we got. Now we can go outside of the scale a little bit, right? We can go. And then we can grab 16. So I went. So that's 15, 16, down to 13 to 14, 14, 14, and then hammer on and pull off 12 to 14 on the G, and then bend up to 12th fret. So we got right, because we're outlining that little A chord. So that's another thing you can think about, right? You can approach the riff in the same way in both positions, but get a different outcome, right? We can bend some of the same notes, but since you're going up higher, you know, you're using the same notes, but you're rearranging them in a different way. So you get different sounds, right? And when you're coming into those riffs, say you're traveling up, it just gives you different options. Right? And then you start to mix both of those positions together, right? You have the and then you can start to break them up, mix and match notes, and just mess around, right? This pattern. Right, you can use it. Right, I'd have to go to a bigger bend there. Right, and I'm starting to use those major thirds all over the place, but my point was I'm coming into the riff the same way. Right? And then you can do it up here. So mess around with that, see what you can come up with on your own. Those are two positions. I'll go over chaining together some riffs in the next lesson, maybe some sliding runs, all that kind of stuff. So work with those two positions. Don't forget to throw on that major third, right, of that A chord. All right, C sharp note, get you going, and it'll get that minor pentatonic to sound a little bit more rock and roll, a little more fun, a little more slick, a little more Van Halen-like, right? We're adding some pizzazz. All right, you guys, awesome job.